So if you have lost your motivation and are feeling exhausted, worn out, and just overall over a lot of things and have lost that spark for a lot of things that used to bring you joy, then you're probably not lazy. You're actually probably just burnt out. So in this video, I want to describe for you what burnout is and its different stages, how it's actually different from laziness, and what you can do to come out from under that burnout and actually start to regain your clarity, regain your energy and your joy for life. So let's dive into it. Welcome to my channel. My name is Dr. Jessica, and I'm a naturopathic doctor and acupuncturist, as well as a health coach. And online, I help clients overcome the symptoms of chronic stress, as well as recover from burnout, or in the best case scenario, actually prevent burnout. So let's first talk about what burnout actually is and how we define it. Burnout is actually described as a syndrome that results from chronic stress. You know, I talk a lot about chronic stress on this channel and the effects that it can cause, but it is usually a syndrome that occurs from that type of chronic stress, and you get to the point where your body and your mind literally just do not have the ability to adapt or respond to that stress anymore. And that unresolved stress starts to negatively impact not only your work, but also other areas of your life as well. So burnout is different from just being lazy. Burnout is where you start to feel just completely disengaged. So when you hit those final stages of burnout, and we'll talk about those later stages, you start to feel completely disengaged from even things that used to give you joy and like give you life. Say you like to read, or say you like to play golf. You are not feeling like doing any of those things. Mentally and emotionally, you start to just you have a change in motivation. You don't feel like going after things. Sometimes you can even feel numb or just apathetic towards most things in life, be it your family, your friends, your activities, your work. Then you start to see a decrease in your productivity, and your enthusiasm for either work or family, even friends. Your moods really takes a hit. You can be irritable, you can be frustrated, you can be angry, or again, you can just kind of switch and just be completely apathetic. Your self-care takes a total dive. You don't want to do any of the things that, there are no mani-pedis, there's no like facials, there's no spa days. You just want to lay down, put the pillow or put the blanket over your head, curl up in the fetal position, and just stare into the space. Generally, when you're burned out, I know I've been there. I did that. It didn't help, but I did it. And then overall, like physically and mentally and emotionally, you just really feel exhausted. You have nothing left to give. No, there are not two shits to rub together at that point in time, and that is not laziness. That's burnout. So when we talk about burnout, classically, we talk about it in the context of work-life balance as well, because they define burnout in these 5 different stages. So it generally starts with what is called the honeymoon phase. And during this phase, everything is great. You have more creativity, you're feeling very inspired, you're loving the new job or maybe you're now working for yourself. You're loving every aspect of it. But then we creep into stage 2. And stage 2 is that onset of stress. You're noticing, ooh, I don't like what my boss just said there. Oh, that coworker, I don't know about her. But all these little things start to creep up. And at first, they're very manageable. You're very resilient. It stresses you out. You're able to bounce back. You're able to recover. So, and this 3rd stage is known as the chronic stress stage. Now, this is generally where I start to see new clients coming in or new patients coming into the office saying like, I'm just really tired. I don't know why I'm so tired, but I wake up in the morning and I'm not ready to go, or I'm dragging throughout the day. I feel like I need to have that 3rd or 4th cup of coffee. Also, new physical illnesses start to creep up. Maybe it's an increase in the frequency of the common cold, or now maybe more headaches are starting to appear. Can also be a increase in other types of physical ailments you already have. Your knee pain goes up, your back pain increases, things like that. If this keeps going in this chronic stress phase, This is then when we start to go towards what's known as burnout itself. This is where the symptoms get critical. This is where I don't want you to go. This is where I want you to come see me before any of that happens. This is where we start to see things like insulin resistance. We start to see more migraine headaches. We start to see more onset of things like IBS. We start to see flares of existing autoimmune conditions, Hashimoto's thyroiditis, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, even things like IBS start to flare as well. And now the other thing that really starts to shift is that your mental and emotional health also start to get on board, but in a bad way. We start to see new onset anxiety or worsening of existing anxiety. We start to see changes in mood. You start to get irritable. You start to get frustrated. You start to be very short with your family and your friends. You start to maybe even withdraw from some of the things that you generally once loved. Like you don't want to go out with your friends and you don't want to go play that round of golf because you're physically exhausted, even though in the past it had been something that you would love to do because it helps you blow off a little bit of steam. This is generally where you start to really hit the wall. You start to hit your limit. You start calling in more sick days or taking more vacation. This is really where I start to see mental and emotional health just go down the toilet. And then if this progresses, you go then into the 5th stage, which is known as habitual burnout. This is where you start to think that things will never change. For me, as a practitioner, this is where it starts to get really dangerous with different patients. This is where depression starts to spiral out of control. This is where anxiety gets really hard to manage. This is where panic attacks start to pop up. And I think mentally, one of the worst symptoms is you start to think that this is normal. You start to think that it will never change. Personally, I've been there. Again, if you saw my video about my experience with chronic stress, this is where my face exploded and I developed this autoimmune rash and like my whole face just, it looked like I was molting, like, to be perfectly honest. I can laugh now because I'm on the other side. This is where like your mental health and your brain is just your brain and your body are just no longer coherently talking to each other. And this is where things like chronic fatigue start to set in and, joint muscle pain can just really start to explode. And in this phase, sometimes you start to lose hope and you start to think that it probably will not be different and it doesn't matter what you change, that it will still be the same. And that is not true. I would recommend that you seek help from a provider, from a coach, from a therapist, from whomever before you hit this stage. But especially in this stage, it's important to actually seek out some type of help because this is where your brain is kind of in this loop and is telling you something that isn't really true because it can be different. I've been there personally. I've done that. I see it quite often in practice as well as in my coaching practice. So the question then becomes, well, what do you do? How do you get out of it? And I've broken it down into 4 kind of general steps that you need to take in order to see yourself through to the other side. Clearly, I will have to split this video up because this video is like 20 minutes. All right there, I apologize, but future Jessica here while I'm editing. This video was entirely too long for one video. So in the next video, I'm going to break down the 4 steps that I use not only with clients, but that I use with myself in order to recover from burnout. And I will be able to break those 4 steps down in more detail if we separate these out into 2 videos. Okay, I apologize, but thanks for understanding. And I hope that you now have a little bit more clarity about what exactly burnout is and that it's not just laziness. It's its own set of symptoms, it's its own syndrome, and that it does not have to be the case for forever. So tune in for next week's video when I break down the steps and how to get to the other side. All right, and back to past Jessica. And I have things to say about burnout. All right, I hope that this video was helpful. If you learned something, be sure to give it a thumbs up and share it with someone that you think it might be helpful for, because it does help other people find the channel. Be sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you can be notified when I post new videos each week, and be sure to leave a comment below. If something clicked here and you feel like, oh shit, I'm burned out or I'm headed towards burnout, then leave a comment below and let me know what's going on. I love to engage with you guys in the comments. All right, otherwise, I will see you in the next video.